Hi everyone, my name is Valerie Friedlander and I'm your host for Motherhood Unlimited, the #1 summit for moms who want it all. Welcome and thank you for joining us. It is our mission to take the limits off motherhood and empower moms to have it all for their own unique and vibrant life. We believe that when moms learn to create where, who, and how they want to be, their happiness and overall life satisfaction increases and they become inspired and inspirational for their children and each other. Today we are talking about how a parent can have an outstanding relationship with their child while living a purposeful, financially abundant, time freedom life. That sounds amazing. Our expert is Jolette Jai. I invited her to share with you because of her work empowering parents and helping them get honest, break through their limiting beliefs, and address their parenting paradigm. Thank you so much, Jolette, for being here with us today.
You're welcome, Valerie. It is so great to be with you, and I really appreciate your mission. Like, this is so important that moms really become empowered and feel fulfilled and purposeful in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome. Well, before we get started, let me introduce the audience to you a little bit. So Jolette is the founder of the Jai Institute for Parenting, where she has trained conscious parenting coaches around the world, from all over the US to Canada, Brazil to South America, and the UK to Dubai, to help parents raise caring, capable, and confident kids with her 10-step Jai process. This process is the first of its kind, helping parents experience authentic, deep connection with their children while setting limits in a way that enhances the long-term relationship between parent and child. Jolette is a passionate public speaker, inspired entrepreneur, paradigm shifter, and most of all, a fun-loving mom to a wonderfully spirited 9-year-old boy. So welcome again, and tell us a little bit about your journey to taking the limits off motherhood.
I'd be happy to. Thank you. So my journey to taking the limits off of motherhood started on a downside. My son was 2 years old. I was newly divorced, and we had nothing. We had very little money. And so at that time, I didn't have a business, and I wanted the best for him, of course, like we all do as moms. And there was another question that was rattling around in my mind, like, what am I here to do on this planet? And so not only we were totally broke, but I had this question of like, okay, I was working 3 jobs. I took 3 jobs at the time to just make ends meet. And at night I would put him to bed. We were living in like a 200 square foot room and in his little crib, and me and my little sofa bed, and I would tuck myself in and tuck him in, and I would say, okay, God, what am I here to do? Like, show me my purpose. I want to be a vessel. I want to create like for you. Like, I just want to be here. What am I here to do? These 3 jobs, it's not going to cut it. Like, none of these inspire me. I'm not motivated. Like, what am I here to do? And luckily, when you ask for something from the universe steps up. So the universe did, and a friend called and said, you want to come to a parenting class at Agape Church? So Michael Bernard Beckwith's church here in LA, and I went there and I went to this parenting class, and it was a parenting class in nonviolent parenting, nonviolent communication, nonviolent parenting, and I thought, well, that's weird. I'm not a violent parent, but sure, let's check it out. So we went, and I was blown away. It was everything that I'd never had as a child. They were communicating and teaching tools that I'm like, yes, I want this for me and my son. And in the tables in the back, they were signing up people to become parent educators. And you know that feeling when you just know? I'm like, this is it. This is where I want to be. And I signed up right then, and I've never looked back. And I went through my training, and I started really feeling purposeful. I mean, I was really feeling like, wow, this is information. This is stuff that I need to share. I need other moms to be able to do this. And I started seeing phenomenal results with my son. And then I went on to, when I finished my program, just coach parents, and I started feeling even more of it. And it's just been like that. It's just grown and grown, this energy of purpose inside, and it really moves me every day. And we're here where we're at, and we train, I don't know, hundreds of coaches now around the world. So, yeah.
Awesome. That sounds exactly what I and so many moms want in our lives. And that was exactly how I felt too when I first became a mom. It was like everything that I didn't love magnified, and that included like my career and like, what do I do? What do I do? And then of course, acting out, like I'm stressed with my job. I'm stressed with all of these things that I couldn't get manageable. And then of course, I'm not showing up as the mom that I want to show up as. So tell us a little bit about like how if we're in that situation, what do we do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think when you're in that situation, you need to make a decision, and it needs to be a very strong decision, a decision that you will never go back on, never turn your back on yourself on. And that decision happened the moment that I looked to my son, and I didn't have money. I was in the store and I didn't have money to buy his diapers. And that's a position no mom ever wants to be in. And I'll never forget that day. And I made a commitment to myself, and I made a decision. I made a decision, baby, we are never going to do that again. We're never going to be like this again. And I committed to being successful. And I committed to living my purpose and my passion. And I wanted to be a role model for him. So he saw somebody who's living in contribution and service. And so I made a really strong decision. And I think without that decision, when you're just kind of hemming and hawing, well, maybe I want to do this, or maybe I want to do that, or that sounds really good, nothing really moves. And the decision is not an easy decision. And there will be a lot of obstacles up ahead. And so when you make your decision, you got to know this is my decision with me and God, and the universe, or whomever you call your source. And that is what moves me every time, that and my son. And I look to him and I say, you know what? This is my decision for you. And I just put him to bed at night, and there's no way I can go back on it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the big things for me, was realizing that there wasn't like a right or wrong part of that. It was just to actually make the decision and be clear that, you know what, this is worth it. Even if it's hard, I'm going to walk a path for a while and see what happens. Cause I keep telling, I tell my kid, you can do anything. If you work hard enough at it, you can be anything. You have all this, unlimited potential. But if I'm not doing that, if I'm not believing in myself enough to take that leap of faith and know that, it's not right or wrong, it's just a choice. I'm actually making a choice to be intentional and really take action. Then yeah, absolutely. So I love that. Now, you said you saw amazing difference in your son and how you were showing up with that. Tell us more about how that works for you and what we could do to make that difference. Aside from just, figuring out who we are and being, making a choice, there are tangible things that I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we teach is moving from a power paradigm to an empowerment paradigm. So a lot of us as parents really wanted to get our kids to do what we want them to do. So we want to control our children. And we want to, we want there to be peace in the home, but there's often chaos, and chaos comes from control. And so when we're in that control mindset, it's really hard for our children to be at peace and to really find their own voice and find their own empowerment. And so one of the first things is to start to view your child as being, you're in a relationship with your child. You're not trying to control over. You don't have power over your child as the parent. But when you start to see that it's a relationship with your child, then notice the times when you're really starting to control your child or needing to control your child. And I want you to stop in those moments. What we can all do is we can stop and just take a breath and notice when we're being triggered. So, my child is throwing things on the floor. Well, our first instinct is to get angry, right? Or to get frustrated and say something immediately to our child. And it's that little moment. It's that moment when we can stop. And if you can just stop, from pause in that moment and look at yourself and go inward and say, wow, I'm really angry. And studies have shown that when you can just name the feeling, just name one feeling. It could be, I'm delighted, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I'm curious. You just name one feeling, and that little pause takes you into a whole nother realm with your child. So by pausing and taking that time just to identify your feeling gives you a moment before you react, and you're triggered and you just react from control. So that's the first step, is just to do that. Just take that little pause. The second step is to notice, what might my child be feeling, or what are they needing in that moment right now? And so instead of control, you move to curiosity. I'm so curious. You know, look, they just came home from school. They haven't seen me all day. Maybe, you know, or they're at the park and maybe they just had a tiff with one of the kids in the park. You know, there's a whole backstory to where your child comes from, right? Yeah. So I want to see, like, where are they coming from and what just happened in their lives? Like, let's get curious about them. You know, do they have this is a great one. Do they have a need for play? Okay, it's at night. You're trying to get them to bed. You know, we've all gone through this before. Yeah. You know, brush your teeth, get in bed, and we want to control right away because we're on a time schedule, especially with school just starting. You know, we have a lot of time schedules, but your child is goofing off, and your child might be throwing something at you or trying to play with you. Well, they have a high need for play in that moment. And so could you just stop and take a breath and get curious and then say, wow, I'm frustrated. Okay, I'm frustrated. I get it. And they have a high need for play right now. What can we do for 30 seconds or a minute to play and connect? And that's the third step, is move in and connect with your child. Because before there's cooperation or peace or anything in your relationship with them, there needs to be connection. And so the next step is really to move in and connect with them. If they have a high need for play, you know, my son and I do this in the morning. It is so much fun. It takes 3 minutes. And we just wrestle. You know, we're wrestling each other first thing in the morning. Now we're connected. And now I ask him, you know, it's time for school. Will you please go get dressed? Sure, Mom, because we're connected. Mm-hmm. So there's no need for control. So once you're connected with your child and you use these tools, just taking a breath, taking a moment to pause, and then noticing, what is my child feeling? What is my child needing? And then moving in and connecting with them. Make connection your biggest priority today. Like, make connection the priority and see what happens. Because once you connect, anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious because I definitely find, you know, the play thing. He's like, oh, let's play, let's be silly. And I'm like, oh my God, we just need to go. I'm going to be late, or whatever it is, you know? But there are times when I need to set a boundary. I need him to understand like consequences and stuff. How would I go about doing that in a way that, you know, so that he knows, you know what, this is unacceptable behavior or whatever, but in a way that's connecting with him. So it's not me just controlling him. It's me helping, you know, see cause and effect.
Well, these are huge questions that you're asking, and they're great questions. So we talk about shifting a paradigm. So many people are engaged in this power paradigm, and your children are used to it. So if you're used to, you know, we also talk about in our programs, punishment without parenting without punishments or consequences. So if you're used to this and your child is used to this, this is going to take a little while to shift. It's not just going to be like, oh, one day you are all of a sudden peaceful with him, and then you go to set a limit, and it, you know, he's like, well, where's the consequence, Mom? Where's the punishment for this? There's no consequence or punishment. So what you're asking, we're talking about two different paradigms right away. Okay. So you're asking, you know, how do I set a limit with a consequence? We don't set limits with consequences. So it's not, you know, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this is going to happen. It's more about being in relationship with them. And I'll give you an example. So we had a mom who came to us, and this was about 5 years ago, and her son was really angry. He had so much anger bottled up in him, and he was actually pulling kitchen knives on the younger two siblings, right? Like, if you talk about like unacceptable behavior, unacceptable behavior, like, what is this? And he's trying to jump out of moving cars, you know, like stuff where she's just like, what do I do here? Yeah. Well, look at what was happening in the control world of the parenting. They had been locking this child in his room when he was not behaving the way they wanted him to behave. They actually had a lock on his door, and they would lock him in the room. This was years. This was his whole life. And so he was really angry, and he had no outlet for the anger. He had nowhere to say, I'm angry, you know. And so then when we started shifting the paradigm and shifting the parenting style, and just so you know, this took 9 months to do. It's not an overnight thing. But once we started shifting it, they took the lock off the door. They said, look, we're going to parent differently now. We're not going to use consequences. We're not going to use punishments. It was a little confusing at first for the child. And then they started talking about their feelings and his feelings and what's going on. And as they started to unravel all of these complex emotions, he started to feel safe. Mm-hmm. And when he knew that he was safe, then he had this amazing relationship with his parents. And his parents had this amazing relationship with him. And actually, he just came to visit us. It's 5 years later, and incredible child, like incredible boy. So, you know, it's very much that it's setting limits. Yes, it's setting limits, but are you in relationship first with your child to even set the limit? And we use family values. We talk about family values a lot. So once a child knows, like, this is all of this is our value, and you allow them to participate in the conversation. Again, it's not control. It's like, now, Valerie, look, this is our value, and you're going to live by it. And if you don't live by it, I'm taking that TV away. I'm taking the phone away. I'm taking this away. I'm taking that away. So just for a moment, if we as parents can put ourselves in our child's place, like, how would you like if somebody comes in and you're on your computer, or you're on your device, you're on your cell phone, and you did not do the dishes that night? Let's say you walked away from me, you didn't do the dishes, and I walked in and I said, Valerie, forget it. You didn't do the dishes. I'm taking that cell phone away. And you just go in and I'm going to yank your cell phone away. Like, how would you feel?
Yeah, I would be kind of annoyed. I'd be like, what? Yeah. Right. I mean, so, if I don't have a relationship with you, I'm definitely like, who are you?
Right, and why are you taking my cell phone away?
That sort of thing, like with my husband, of like, you know, we get into that dynamic sometimes with each other of just the expectations that we have. And then, you know, oh, I see him on his phone and something's not done, or vice versa even. It's like, what are you doing? And that anger comes out and it provokes this anger response. And so, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like, if I am responding to you in an angry way, you're most likely either going to respond back in anger, or you're going to respond in like avoidance, right? Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense that a kid would do that too. So, yeah,
it's such a great question, because we talk about unacceptable behavior, and most people won't like to hear this, but look at your unacceptable behavior as a parent. I mean, really, like, let's just take a 180, let's look at ourselves. Like, what are we doing in that moment? And would you do that with your best friend? Mm-hmm. Would you do some of the stuff that you're doing with your best friend? Would you talk that way to somebody? Would you talk that way to your best friend? Yeah. So that's the first thing, really being in relationship with your child, and you won't need to use consequences. You really won't.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think. So the first steps were to identify my emotions so that I know what's going on within me, and then getting curious about their emotions and what's going on with them. And it really, that's like some of the basics for emotional intelligence, because especially when they don't really necessarily know their emotions yet, helping them be able to name it. If I can't name my emotions, then I can't really help them name theirs, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And we're verbal about it. You know, my son knows my feelings about things, and I know how he's feeling about things. And if he's upset about something, and if I need to apologize, I apologize. Or if he needs to apologize, we definitely work together in that way. So.
Awesome. So we're coming close to our time. I would love for you to share with us, like, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you really want our audience to know and come away from this interview with?
Yeah, it's so great. So the first thing I've been thinking about your audience, and what I want them to know, and this is something that I haven't really shared in interviews before, but they have, as moms, especially, your audience is mostly moms, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Maybe there might be a few dads, because motherhood can encompass the male role too. I mean, that nurturing parent, absolutely. So.
Right. Okay. So the first thing is that you gave birth, or if you adopted a child, a huge energy happened the moment your child came into the world. A huge creative force happened. And in that creative force is unlimited potential. And I know that for us as moms, the moment after you gave birth, you're probably like, holy, I can't believe I just did that. I mean, I couldn't believe I just did that. 21 hours of like, you know, and then like a baby comes out. And
Yeah.
Moment, right? I knew that anything is possible. Like, don't come to me as a mom and tell me that you can't do this and you can't do that, whatever. You just gave birth to a baby. Come on, right? And I think as moms, we forget that. We forget that anything is possible. Like, you are the divine creation of the universe. You are here. You are here in God's name. You're here in the universe name, whatever you want to call it. And you are able, as a mom and as a dad, to do anything. And so I would love for people just to know, I'd love for you to know that you are abundant, you are loved, you are here, you are purposeful, there is nothing in your way, the universe completely supports you, and now that you're a parent, the universe incredibly supports you, and just tap into that, because there really is nothing that you can't do. It is unlimited, and that's why I love what you are about, Valerie, and what this, you know, what you're really standing for, because it's true. You can do anything.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the first thing.
It's totally it. You know, I mean, we forget that we're unlimited and we're supported, and so is our kid, you know, and it's not just us. We're not alone. I think that what you're saying there is so important. We're not alone. And there's so much out there for us. So speaking of support, I believe that you have an amazing free gift for our audience.
I do. Okay, hold on. So the second thing too, real quick, is something else to walk away with is when you're triggered in the moment, know that you have a limiting belief underneath all of this that is triggering your feelings and these strong feelings, and also know that you can shift this limiting belief, and once you shift that limiting belief, a whole new brain pattern is put into place, and your reactions will be completely different. You won't be triggered by the things you're triggered by anymore. And I know that's a bit radical to say, but we've time and time again done this with coaches. So that's what I want to share with you. I'm so excited that these transformations are possible and that you can have a relaxed, peaceful, and joyous home no matter what. So this is my gift. It's a 100% parent book. It's our book. And in it, it shows you exactly how to shift those limiting beliefs, how to have your peaceful relationship, the ultimate guide to having an amazing relationship with your child. You'll learn step by step in here. And yeah, go read it. It's really inspiring a lot of people in their homes and with their children.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much, Jolette. I really appreciate it. And as a reminder to everyone, the email that you were sent for this video, the link will also give you access to this free gift. And so, yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And this concludes our interview for Motherhood Unlimited. And again, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Jolette. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for another exciting, inspirational, and helpful interview from Motherhood Unlimited. And I look forward to you all joining us. All right, guys, take care.